Hola, minasan! Welcome back for another round of Kaiju number 8. Kafka got turned into a kaiju. Enough said. We had a very interesting seinen story here. It's not your typical shonen thing because Kafka is in the 30s, our main character. Everybody's an adult, which is a great change of pace from watching and reading shonen. It's pretty fun. It's pretty cool. Kafka is now going to the next level of the exam, the next step, which is physical edition, which is the physical exams, the physicals, where he fails actually. Step 2, which is the physicals, where he fails at a lot. So we meet Kikoru. She's basically the Asuka of Kaiju number 8. Skin tight outfit and all. Plug suit and all. Blonde hair, plug suit. Yeah, that's totally Asuka. Arrogant, yep. And we're going to soon find out what Kafka will be capable of doing. So, let's not waste time and let's get reading. Kikru leaned in very closely at Kafka. As he leaned his body back and grimacing his teeth, she slowly pressed her thumb onto her chin and stared at him very carefully. Ah, is it me? She said. What do you think of Kaiju, old man? We work at Kaiju Disposal, Reno said. What are disposal workers doing in a place like that? And that's when she heard a loud creak. It was rocking a couple of times, and there was Kafka, putting the company fan back in place and standing on its two wheels. Up you go, he said. And Kikoru freaked out. Ah, what the? Impossible! And Reno slapped his forehead. He's got a private suit of his own? Examining number 2032, Kafka said, as he pointed his thumb at his face with a angry look on it, and his mouth wide open, exposing his teeth. Kafka Hibino, and don't you forget it, little missy. She paused as as she was shocked by his response. She didn't expect that from a person, let alone someone like Kafka Hibino. But suddenly the car, her car was parked into number 55, where Kafka originally had parked at. Crap, he said. He swiped our parking spot in the confusion. Damn, that bowler's good. Well, I came here as a sort of rite of passage, but it looks like I'll get to have some fun as well, she said as Kafka looked in her direction. She flicked her pigtail up with a little sly smile on her face. I'm going to make a fool of you, Kafka Hibano. And she walked away with her butler. Let's beat off, Sebasu. Right, he said. Kafka stared her down as she walked away, ignoring him, only to hear a loud stomp getting his attention, and he shuddered in fear. Well, Reno said with veins bulging out of his cheeks underneath his eyes, and and his pupils lacking any form of irises staring down at him in a veil of shadow. You didn't waste any time using your powers, now did you? Eep. Okay, but you saw, right? I was really good, Kafka said, and only transformed the parts of my body that were out of sight. That's not the issue here! Hey, we heard loud noise. Hey, we heard loud noise. The guard said. I'm in trouble over here. Oh no, nothing at all, gentlemen. Ha 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 ha. Kafka said, rubbing the back of his head, and Reno immediately turned in his direction. Do that again, they'll kick us out for sure. Defense Force Officer Selection Exam, Stage 2, Nishitokyo Testing Site. Not long after this, the second stage examination, widely regarded as the toughest in human history, would get underway. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto, Chapter 4. This Kafka began breathing very hard. Ha ha ha. He thought to himself, "Huh? What's this?" He was running along the trail, far behind all the candidates that were ahead of him, as he passed by a couple of testers that were keeping track of all the examinees. I can't keep up at all, he was trying to figure out, but I've made working out a part of my regular routine. He started sweating even more harder than he normally would, and I do hard manual labor every day too. The second stage is split into two parts. Kafka said, as he jumped into a flashback while suffering. The first part is a fitness test. The second is an aptitude test. He explained to Reno. Yes, Reno replied. The second section is all about general aptitude, and examinees are pretty much up against the wall the whole time, they said as they sat down on the bench before a whole bunch of lockers. The contents change every year, so it's hard to prepare for it, since the second section is essentially a wild card. We definitely need to score points here in the fitness test. Kafka nodded as he experienced a montage of all his struggles. Last time, I made it to the tail end of the middle of the pack, he said within the flashback, as he struggled to climb up the cargo net with all the examinees. But now is this, he said as he struggled, as his mouth widened open in absolute pain. Is this what they mean by it's all downhill in your 30s? His legs started burning and his arms struggled to sway despite all the muscles he's got. If I use my power, maybe I can pull ahead of everyone all at once, he thought to himself. Kafka Hibino fitness test results. 219th out of 225. He collapsed right on the ground in horror as he looked at the number 5 land on top of his number 219. Ah, that was fast. You look foolish already. He looked up and there was Kikoru with a little smirk on her face, chuckling at his struggle. Oh, he suddenly he remembered showing off. He remembered his flex from earlier in the parking lot, and it got hit into a flashback. Kafka Hibino, and don't you forget a little Bissy. He immediately clutched his hair and his eyes bulged down, and he completely went mad. Oh, no, please forget it. Forget my name right this instant. Reno showed up and knelt before him. So, you really did use it, huh? Your kaiju power? And Kafka went silent for a moment. He got up onto his feet and brushed off the dirt on his pants and shirt. Everyone worked so hard to get here. It wouldn't be fair of me to use that power to my advantage. He looked out to the crowd. Then he immediately turned over to Reno and grabbed his shoulder with tears falling down his cheeks like a waterfall. Who am I kidding? I just wanted to sound cool. I definitely should have used it. I mean, it's been ages since my last attempt. Ages, huh? Reno said as he looked over at the examinees. I don't think that's the only reason you placed where you did. Huh? And he, meanwhile, in the offices, a report was placed onto the desk. Here are the current examinees. We've got a few interesting folks lined up. The vice chair Hoshino, vice chairman Hoshino said to Mina, Captain Ashiro. Then again, I doubt you're interested in anything outside of killing kaiju. he said with a smile on his face as she flipped through the pages and came across uh, Kafka's grimacing smile and his report. Keep a talking. I can listen. Oh, well now this is where. Yes, well, as far as the noteworthy candidates go, I'd start with Haruichi Izumo. He said as Reno stood next to Kafka, just relaxing. Mm. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, that was a transition. Yes, man. Well, as far as noteworthy candidates, I'd start with Haruichi Izumo. Reno said in a transition to outside in the courtyard. They looked at this somewhat red-haired guy. Fitness exam, finished in second place. He graduated valedictorian from Tokyo Neutralization University. He's the #1 prospect of this year's grad candidates. Then there's Iharu Furuhashi, he said as he looked at the shark tooth. What kind of hair is that? The shark tooth blonde. The powerhouse valedictorian of Hachiochi Neutralization Technical College. He finished in third place. And of course, there's the ground SDF's rising young star, Aoi Kaguragi. The fitness exam first place, he said as he looked at the short-haired, spiky blonde. He turned down a guaranteed future in the JG SDF to apply for a transfer to the Defense Force. And that's not half of it. He looked out at the rest of the crowd. There's a sea of tracksuits here from various neutralization universities and colleges across the country. Under normal circumstances, these people would be executive candidates, not aspiring field personnel. They're elite. No wonder I couldn't keep up, Kafka screamed out as Reno turned his attention to one specific person. And the best out of them all is her. And Kafka looked at where Reno was talking about. It was Kikoru, as all the candidates stared at her as she just calmly drank her sports drink right in front of them as if it was nothing. The one they've all got their eyes on, accepted into California Neutralization University at age 16. She's their youngest valedictorian graduate. The girl lauded as the greatest talent of all time. Beyonce! What? No, it's Kikoru Shinomiya. She's the everybody watched her on as the wind gently brushes her hair, flapping it like a flag in the wind as she smiled outwardly while holding her drink. Let's see. Dude, I'll crush her. Iharu thought. Well then, Izumo said, thought to himself, I'd like to see how I fare against her. I'll be keeping my eye out for her, Aoi said, and Kafka freaked out. It appears that you'd finally grasp my brilliance. Hey, Kafka. You mean you were a big deal this entire time? He screamed at at Kikoru, grabbing onto her shoulder as she was drinking her water, her bottled water. She completely freaked out at at the fact that he grabbed her, catching her off guard, and a pair of guards, speaking of, jumped out of nowhere, kicking him and punching him. Keep your grubby mitts off the young madam. Who's the old dude? Iharu thought. One of Shinomiya's groupies, maybe? Izumu thought. And Kafka laid on the ground with a bloodied nose and his eyes swirling from the pain and sweat spilling down his cheek. That's twice now I've been made a fool. That's twice now I've been made a fool of, Kafka Himina. She leaned in close to his face with a big grin, like the Cheshire Cat. Telling me how much more you could take? With veins bulging out of his forehead, the announcement was called out. We will now begin the second part of the examination, the aptitude test. Kafka got up and pointed out at Kikoru as she walked away with an arrogant smile. Soon you'll be the foolish-looking one. I'll examine these places somewhat at the training area, too, the announcement said, and Kafka gritted his teeth and his veins bulged even more. Then he calmed down and slumped over as Reno clenched his fist, staring out at there. Who am I kidding? I'm barely hanging in there. There is still hope, senpai. Huh? For the past 2 years, the second part of the exam has been Kaiju body disposal. It seems they want to raise awareness about the other parts of Kaiju neutralization beyond just killing them while testing your Kaiju knowledge and teamwork. That is why I chose to work part-time as a dismantler. Oh. Kafka marched on with a whole new sense of vigor that we'll stake it all on the next part. Moments later, the whole entire examinees just looked up into the sky. Holy moly, Kafka said with his eyes wide open and Reno shedding a small sweat. It's huge. It was the Defense Force training area too. It had had 2 towers like a prison with barbed wire lined up along the top, and the walls as tall as a skyscraper. The division, the Vice Captain Hoshino, stood before everybody. Stood before everybody and introduced himself. I'm the head of the Screen Exam Collection Committee, everybody. 3rd Division, Vice Captain Hoshino, you will respect me. You will learn to respect me. He immediately typed in the code and opened up the large doors that was, the large metal doors that was blocking everything out. For the 2nd section, sons and daughters, your task in the training area will be to dismantle Kaiju, neutralize Kaiju. I wish you all good luck, and I hope you all stay alive. Neutralize? Reno thought. Kaiju, as did Hibino. But Kikoru smiled with glee, knowing what she has a chance to do. To be continued. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto. 3rd Division Vice Captain Soshiro Hoshina stood with a big smile on his face, with 2 fingers pointing out in in 2 different directions. With glee and joy, he explained what the plan is. Your task is to neutralize the Kaijus. What happened to dismantling Kaiju? Kafka immediately leaned into Reno's face with tears falling down his eyes like a waterfall. Explain yourself, Ichikawa. Don't blame me, Reno said with his hands raised up. I just told you what they did the past 2 years. Of course, Hoshina said. We can't send you out there unarmed, so we're outfitting you with this. And he presented them with power suits. The power suits started zipping all up on its own somehow, pressing into their bodies. What is this? Reno thought as he felt the suit pressing all over his back and into his chest, sucking his gut in. It's like it's becoming one with my body. Body measurement and form simulation complete. Kaiju muscle fibers fully operational, the suit said. No measuring unleashed combat power. I can feel my physical strength multiplying. And my nuts. It's pressing into my nuts. Oh my gosh. So this is what it's like to wear a Defense Force plug suit. I feel like Ava. Kaiju number 8 by Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto, Chapter 5. Reno Ishikawa, unleash combat power 8%. The announcer said, excuse me. Reno asked, "What does unleash combat power mean?" And Hoshina realized he needed to explain this. Well, son, it indicates how much of the suit's power you're drawing out. In other words, I'm only capable of drawing out 8% of its power. Hey, 8%'s nothing to sneeze at, son. Besides, a trained general officer only gets about 20%, so it's wait. What? Are you serious? No, wait. Wait, are you serious? Someone screamed out. Kikoru Shinomiya unleashed combat power 46%. Kikoru stood there with a big smiling face, with her arms crossed, without having to exert any form of energy or power. She was just relaxed and very calm. And Hoshina thought, hey, wait a second, that would put her in the same class as the platoon leader. One of the scientists behind him spoke. Isn't this a new record for someone pre-enlistment? And computer continued on analyzing the others. Haruichi Izumori 10%, Aoi Kaguragi 15%, Ihara Furushi Hashi 14%. Let's see here. After the computer gave its analysis, the scientist wearing the young woman who's wearing glasses spoke. Having just one person who can manage over 10% is good enough, but this, wow, this might. Well, now how you like that? This might be our luckiest year yet. Oh, but don't get discouraged, Ishikawa. As long as your number is above 0, you're sure to pass. I mean, it's not like I've ever seen anyone output 0 before. And suddenly, with as Hoshino waved on, Kafka Hibino, unleash combat power 0%. What? Hoshino leaned over into the glass. The hell's wrong with that guy? He got 0? What kind of wuss is he? Huh? What is he? Some kind of wuss? Oh, this is a laugh dream. Huh? This must be a measurement error. Just give me a second. I'll force it out right now. Kafka started shaking his body and making grunting sounds, flexing his muscles, trying to get the power up and everything. Hoshina started laughing. No, please stop, son. You look like you're taking a dump. Oh, please don't take a dump in that suit. We don't have any time to clean that off. No amount of straining is gonna make it come out anyway. Oh, jeez, that old guy's alright. Oh, consider me a fan. He'll probably flunk, but hey, not everybody's that perfect. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Please, doctor, the scientist. Please, Proctor, the scientist said. Take this exam seriously, sir. Damn it, Kafka thought as his veins bulged out of his neck and forehead. There's got to be some trick to it. I need to figure it out before the end of the second section. Kikoro thought to herself, you don't need to tell anyone, Kafka, even now. She let out a puff of air as she watched him continue to strain himself. Hurry up and show off that powder you displayed in the parking lot before the exam ends. The door opens up into the into the area, the power suit area where the examinees are, and Hoshina stepped on out. Alright then, children. Now that you're all suited up, let's start the final test. He said with a smile. The defense force screening exam second round final test begins now. The intercom said as all the examinees stood out with masks on, except for Kikoru for some reason, and Aoi, and a few others. Okay, there's a few others. But they all have their masks and their power suits on, and they're staring out into the field. Now, Hoshina said, your targets are the 36 Honju and Yoju position on this wide open trend area modeled after an urban district, which was originally a place where people used to live, but we just closed it all off and turned it into ours. These Kaiju claimed 16 victims in Hachiochi last year. We captured them alive to train the next generation of recruits. And that's you. Now, if you each been assigned an auto-tracking drone, which we'll use to monitor your actions. Kafka looked up and saw the drone floating above his head, with the camera zooming in and out at him. Any event we determine your life is in danger, we'll activate your suit shield remotely. But be aware, if we take that action, you failed. I'm looking at you, son. That's right. I'm staring right at you, the one with 0%. You're gonna be mine, boy. You hear that? And to be frank, there's no guarantee you'll make it out of this with your lives. But if you're prepared to forge ahead anyway, in spite of that, then get out of there, fools! and all the examinees ran off out into the field with the drones following them as Reno and Kafka stood in shock at how quick everybody moved. Hikoru immediately lifted up her rifle, looked right into her scope, and fired a couple of shots, taking down a Yoju. We're heading out too.
We're heading out too. Stick close to me, Ichikawa. That should have been my line,
Reno said as he looked back as Kafka started dragging his rifle along the ground, struggling to run.
Without the soup's help, this equipment is heavy as hell. That's something only those who are in tune with Zero would know.
He pointed his thumb, trying to act all cool.
Quit trying to put a cool spin on it. Still, what should we do? We lack the offensive abilities of the others.
Reno said as Hoshina make his announcement over the intercom. All right, I almost forgot to mention, you fools. Captain Ashido will be proctoring the final exam as well, so make sure you all put up the good show for her, you hear me? Make sure she's feeling impressed, he said with a big smile on his face as Mina crossed her arms and shook her head in disbelief at what Hoshina said. Kafka paused for a second. His eyes looked up into the air, looked at what he assumed was looking at the main area, but he was just looking at some random buildings. He thought to himself, she's watching. Just settle down.
Ichikawa,
Kafka said, and caught Reno's attention.
Don't you think it's weird that the proctors assigned a drone to monitor each and every one of us? That's a good point. If the test is based on the number of kaiju you neutralize, then they should count them for sensors. That's right. They're assessing how we take action and adapt our abilities to tasks at hand. In that case, given our poor offensive abilities, there's only one course of action we should take. Yeah, we stick to providing backup.
And the two of them together, proceed with their plan. Reno noticed a couple of examinees pinned down behind the car, looking around the area.
Senpai, enemy engagement to our right.
Reno said, and Kafka turned around and saw what everyone was looking at.
All right, circle around and provide cover.
Kafka thought to himself as he and Reno slowly stayed out of the Yoju's sight. Hey, this is at Yoju. We did a joint disposal of with IIDA cleaners back in Hachioji. I get it. So that's the reason they included these in our equipment. He looked down at the canister with the pin on it. All right, suck on this, he thought, and he threw it. The flashbang cracked open and blinded the Yoju. Yeah! The Yoju screamed down in pain.
A stun grenade?
Reno said.
These things have a hyper-developed sense of hearing to make up for their rudimentary eyes. Once you jam that up, it's just a matter of hitting your mark.
And Kafka stuck his head out from underneath the rocks and waved his hands.
You two, go for the stomach. That thing's skin is thinner on the underbelly than the rest of its body. Aim for the stomach.
They heard what he said and complied. uh, oh, he doesn't have a mask on. That nice sister, Izumo said. Mr. Shinomina, me a groupie.
I'm not a groupie,
He screamed out. Oh ho! Now that's something I like to see there. Some good old teamwork. And a couple of shots were fired, and the Yoju ended up dead. But Reno took his mask off and smiled. We did it, sir.
Damn straight, we did. Guys like us have taken apart more kaiju bodies than we could count. We know you kaiju jerks inside and out, guts and all.
Kafka pointed his finger on the top of his head. He thought to himself, I could do this, even without the kaiju power. Now's my chance to start fresh and prove myself. And Reno immediately looked at Kafka.
I'll throw the next one, senpai. Let's keep up the pace and take it to...
And suddenly a Yoju busted through the building, sending debris up in the ground, and clutched onto Kafka, sending him flying in the air.
Senpai!
To be continued. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto. Chapter 6. The Yoju busted through the debris and got his hands on Kafka, bending his body a bit in a 180 and sending his gun and equipment flying in the air. What the? Kafka said, grimacing his teeth.
Another one?
Reno said as they watched on. And as Kafka landed on the ground and nursing his wounds, Reno screamed out,
Senpai!
Back in the control center, number 2032 is injured. The lady scientist said, Yoju 23 is honing in. Prep the remote shield. I figured he'd wash out. Crap. Kafka thought to himself as he lifted his head up, covered with his nose bleeding and his mouth dripping with blood. They're gonna deploy my shield if we take. And he remembered what Hoshina said. If we take that action, you failed, son. And I'm watching you very hard. Mina watched intently as she waited to see what Kafka was going to do. And he thought to himself as he lifted his body, gotta stand up. She's watching. I can't let myself look any more pathetic in front of her. How can I be her boyfriend? And the Yoju towered over Kafka with mouth wide open, ready to go attack on Titan on him and chew him up. Activating remote seal. And Hoshina thought, oh, so he's the first one out after all, huh? He was a pretty funny guy, he said out loud. But them's the breaks, I guess. Poor son, he was a good dude. And suddenly, a volley of bullets flew into the Yoju as it didn't even have a chance to scream out and collapses. Huh? The scientist said from the command center as Kafka lifted up his head and saw who it was. That's 3 times now I made a fool of you, Kafka Hebe now. It was Kikoru standing over the Yoju with the rifle smoldering of smoke from the volley of fire she delivered. No casualty or dropouts allowed, she said. At least not on any battlefield where I set foot. She planted her foot on the Yoju. Kikoru, Kafka smiled. You saved me. I'm off to bring this test to the glorious end, she said with a smile and a smirk. You just continue to lie there in disgrace. Ugh. Kafka grimaced as Kikoru ran off to take on the next Yoju. Izumu looked at her. After the main one, eh? Not that if I get to it first, I always said as Iharu stared her down, unaware of the Yoju behind him getting blown to bits. That was ready to swipe him. What the dude? And Kikoru continued running. Keep your eyes peeled at all times, She said she ran off. Her shots was lightning fast. Duh. The force of her shots is unreal, dude. Is she really using the same gear as us?
So, I can't unleash calm that affects the force of the shots, eh?
Mm, mm. Number 23032. Kafka heard over his intercom. Can you hear me, son? This is Hoshina from Control. You look like a dumb fool. Why are you wasting my time? Your vitals are reading abnormal. What's going on there? You could be suffering from multiple fractures, and even might be have some internal damage. As your proctor for the exam, I recommend that you drop. Let me keep going. He replied back as he stood on bended knee and wiped the blood off his face. I know how pathetic I sound, but going on about my dreams at my age, going on about my dreams about dreams at my age. But I told myself I'd give this another shot. He slowly got up to his feet. My entire future's riding on this. This time I'm not giving up, he screamed out as Mina leaned her back in the control center, the wall of the control center, and crossed her arms, listening on. Oh my son, look at that. Well, oh look at that. I can still stand. He planted his hands on his hips and and continued laughing as his body shivered from pain that was inflicted onto him. Well, it's your call, son, but I think that ugly. That remote shield's going right away. Fine by me. Ichikawa, you just keep pressing on. Forget about me. We promised, right? Something happens to me, you're not obligated to. And Reno reached his hand out to Kafka. I'll back you up, senpai. Reno looked him right in the eyes. Let's do what we can. And remembering his flashback. If I left you here right away, senpai, I could never join the division. When they were confronted by the Yoju during cleanup duty, and Kafka's leg was busted. Ichikawa, Reno smiled. Guess that's just how you're wired, huh? Well, if you insist, he smiled. And and at the command center, Hoshina started laughing. Oh, jizz, are these guys for real? This is some funny stuff going on here. Something straight out of a cartoon. And out in the field, Kafka is sitting on Reno's shoulders with a flash grenade in one hand and a pistol in the other. Let's go, Ichikawa! By our powers combined, we will be Captain Planet. Okay, but this is pretty embarrassing, senpai. Everyone's staring at us. The examinees watched on as Reno carried Kafka on his shoulders across the entire field. I'll leave the movement to you. Use as much of your suit's power as you can, even though this is doing a number on my ribs. Oh gosh, I feel the pain. Then attacking is up to you, sir. Utilize your knowledge to the fullest. Hoshina was crouched over, cradling his stomach from pain, and his eyes teared up as Mina and the doctor stared out at him. Hey, can we pass them already? This is a comedy duel, all right. Reminds me of Audrey. Please, let's do it. Oh my gosh, I haven't had this fun since Texas. You know what I'm saying? Ah, please take this seriously, the doctor said. Forget about my injuries. Just go after Kikoru. If we don't hurry, she'll end this in no time flat. Kafka screamed out at Reno. Okay, try not to fall off, sir. And using the power suit's capabilities, Reno picked up speed faster than any human imaginable, and caused Kafka to lean back from the burst of speed and the wind blowing his face and hair back. His mouth was wobbling, and as Reno was focused to get to their destination too fast. Once I've caught up to her. You'll need to provide once I caught up to her, Reno said. You'll need to provide cover right away. Sure thing. Leave it to me. To me? And there was Kikoru with her eyes in her sight of the rifle, and fired a couple of shots. taking out a couple of another Yoju, before Kafka had a chance to throw the flashbang. She recharged. No, recharged. She removed the magazine and replaced it with a new one. Then she ran fast. She immediately slid onto the ground, fired a couple of shots at the Yuju's leg from underneath the Jeep. Then she immediately lifted herself up, stood up with planted the rifle on the hood and fired another shot into its belly. Then she jumped one-handed over the roof of the Jeep, slid across with one leg, and fired another shot into its head, all within a matter of seconds. And she continued running on as, my gosh, as Izumo watched on. Dude, I can't keep up at all. Aoi Izumo and Aoi watched on horror at what Kikoru did, and Kafka was silent as he watched her jump over a barricade underneath a bridge and disappeared into the horizon of the city. Never would have guessed. Izumo said. Izumo thought, I wouldn't even be able to provide cover fire. Number 2016 has destroyed the last Yoju, the doctor said. She's now engaging the Honju. Ah, the last one, she said, and as she ran towards the largest of all the kaiju. It was horned, with muscles, and large teeth and bulging muscle and bulging veins, screaming out. Aah! She immediately grabbed her flashbang and pulled the pin out. She threw it up into the air and it flew past him and flashed. Yeah! The kaiju screamed out from the pain, opening its mouth even wider. Kikoru jumped up into the air. She positioned her whole entire body and aimed the rifle straight down. She cocked it to the sound of a clink, and fired multiple shots before her body ever went past it. And each shot went inside its throat and down to its stomach, bulging out every part of its skin like little pustules. And then it exploded. Everyone watched on as they saw the flash of light behind the buildings as Kiko landed like a hero, like a superhero, in a JoJo pose. Hoshina smiled, but Mina was unimpressed as the Honju collapsed down with all of its guts spilling out across the street. Everyone looked at all the examinees looked at the smoke billowing out in the distance, reaching high into the sky, as the command center watched on in horror. Honju destroyed, the doctor said. The final test is over. And everybody was amazed at what had happened. Meanwhile, Kafka and Reno just stood frozen in place. Wait, when I said in no time flat, I didn't mean it literally, you jerk, he screamed out. And Reno put down Kafka, and both of them dropped onto the street, huffing and puffing. Recalling drones, well done, everyone! And the drones all flew back to the command center, as the suit said, "Uncoupling complete." The doctor looked over to Hoshina. Why is that? Recall drones and tend to the injured. That's protocol, right, Vice Captain Hoshina? Oh yeah, that's right. Good job. Oh man, that didn't last nearly long enough, Hoshina thought. And after all that hard work we did prepping things too, you know how difficult that was bringing them kaiju over here? You know, feeding them goats and everything? Goats aren't cheap, you know what I'm saying? Mina spoke, catching Hoshina's attention. She's everything I've heard and more. Kikoru no Mina, that is. Hoshina thought to himself. So, she's interested after all, eh? And he spoke out loud. Indeed, we projected at least 30 dropouts, but as it stands, we have 0 dropouts with minimal injured. I'd say this is the direct result of her presence. That's Commander Shinomiya's daughter for you. All that nepotism and everything, while the rest of us gotta work hard for a living. Without a doubt, she'll be the linchpin of the defense force in the future. And outside, Kikuru stood out as the dust was settling down. She was catching her breath and looking up into the sky. Ah, the light of hope this country needs. No, wait. And Oshino finished his sentence. She's the light of hope this country needs. Now that's what I said. That's Texas style, you know what I'm saying? And Kikuru spoke to herself. I did it perfectly, right, Daddy? She fixed her. She started brushing her hair along, and something emerged from the dust behind her. Ah, now then, she said to herself, I suppose I should head back and revel in Kafka Hibino's foolishness a fourth time. And she sensed it. She turned around and looked at it. It was some kind of kaiju, a humanoid with skeletal, with chest rib bones all bulging out, muscles all along the sides from the arms to the neck, and 2 flat-looking surfaces that make up the forehead and teeth, human teeth, that was just merely smiling at her. Huh? What is that thing? She thought to herself. She said to herself and thought, it wasn't on the naturalization list last night. And that's when he pointed. The thing pointed its finger at her, and punctured a hole out of nowhere into her chest, catching her off guard, and her blood spilling out. To be continued. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto. No, that was the examination exam, all packed up in 3 chapters, which was pretty great. I like that. I like that kind of pacing. This is some good pacing here. You know, normally when they do like the exams, you know, saying in most manga and anime, they like to stretch that out for so long, and it's like, okay, can we get to the thing here? But no, not here. It just went straight to the point. It moved along nicely and got us to a key plot point. It was very very remarkable. You know, we open up with Kafka. We open up on chapter 4 with Kafka, flexing muscle, even though he's not wearing a power suit or anything. Kikuru thought that he was doing a power suit. I gotta say, that's a funny drawing of his face there. Pretty hilarious, and of course she flexes her face there. But yeah, we had little comedic moments here at the start between Kafka and Kikoru, which is pretty funny, And poor Reno, like, what a drawing here. Look at his face. That's scary. That's some uncanny stuff going on there. But yeah, Kafka is just not getting it, And we find out that Kafka got a lot more slower. He's very exhausted, and Kikuru all throughout the this little chapter here just smirking and snickering at him because for some weird reason he can't do anything. Saying it's like he's slower than everybody. He can't climb it like everybody. We get to meet 3 more characters in Iharu Furuhashi, Izumo Haruichi Izumo, and Aoi Kagaragi. And those are the 3 that we're gonna be following and focusing on, along with the rest of the cast, which is very good because it didn't jump to all the other to all these other characters, the examinees that we see here. Thankfully, saying keeping it nice and centralized is pretty good. It was pretty solid and everything. And we get to learn. We'll eventually learn about these characters because there was a lot of emphasis and good. It's very good. The only issue is, as usual, we don't get the name of the doctor, the scientist that we meet with the glasses. We don't get the name for quite some time. Clearly, you know how I feel about not naming names immediately when you have cast members. dealing with it. It's not the same as, say, the Kikuru's bodyguards. You know what I'm saying? We don't see them a lot. They don't. They're like one panel type of characters. But when you're gonna have characters for more than for quite a while, gotta get the names. I say this a lot. You know what I mean? But yeah, they all meet Vice Captain Hoshina, and he takes them over to the next area where they got neutralized kaiju, which Reno didn't misunderstood the situation. uh, but yeah, so throughout chapter 5, we basically get to see, we get to find out that they get their own plug suits. I appreciate that the plug suits are not skin tight. All too often when and it's not just manga. American comics do the same thing too. They tend to make the suits skin suits. You know what I'm saying? They press into the body and everything and bulge everything out, and it could be over just a little too much. Sometimes it could be a little too much and a little overdone. You know what I'm saying? Like unnecessary type of thing. But here, despite the fact that it does connect, saying and presses into them as he describes it. It's like he's becoming one with the body and everything. If you look here on the right with the arm, it's still wrinkly. It's still a little bit wrinkly, and you can see that happening along, like here on the neckline around the collar area. It's still wrinkly, and when you look at the suit, finally in the full view, you can still see some wrinkles, like right along the thigh there, on the upper thigh, and that's actually pretty good. That's pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Uh, it's shows that it shows that you don't need to have these type of suits, these type of uniforms to be clingy, you know what I'm saying, and skin like. It's not necessary to depict it that way. You can put some wrinkles on it and still achieve the form fitting nature of the suit. Although, is it just me, or is that leg a zipper on the inner thigh? Is that a zipper on the inner thigh there? That's pretty weird. But the design is really good. The suit's design, it has the back there like a spine, the shoulder pads. Let's especially with the females, it doesn't do the boob cup thing, because that's really not plausible, unless you want the sexualization part. Some of them can get away with that if that's their entire theme, but this one didn't need it, and it shows. It's just a nice, good, standard fare jumpsuit type of thing that you would see on pilots. You know what I'm saying? Flying, Air Force pilots and such like that. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't need to be hyper clingy and such. So it's a very nice design, quite honestly. It really does look like a uniform that matches a kaiju and shows that you're fighting a kaiju. It fits. It fits the whole thing, especially the nature that of this organization where they're trying to kill kaiju. So they would look like they're kaiju fighters, that kind of thing. So not bad, not bad. Very good design. It's very good design, and we find out that Kafka, of course, has 0% power, which leads Hoshina in hysterics. I really like that. I like that because it could have been so easy to make Hoshina. Again, this Kaiju number 8 does a great job of making characters who, when you see upon their first appearance, you know what I'm saying, their character design, their character drawing, like Reno and Hoshina, you would think that they would be brooding and all serious, Sasuke-like and everything. Instead, we get a laughing Hoshina. We get Reno, who's a cool dude, who actually talks and communicates, and it's a breath of fresh air. Especially even though this is more seinen, since the main character is an adult and they're all adults. But the point is that it's a breath of fresh air if you've been seeing nothing but brooding characters, Todorokis and the Sasukes and the Shinjis. It's it could be it could be just too much. You know what I mean? It could be too much, and and the fact that he's so fun, his laughter is all fun and everything. That's a pretty chill guy. Hoshina. Oh man, but yeah, they all have to fight Honjus and Yojus, and basically Kafka and Reno realizing that Kafka is very disadvantaged, decided to take advantage of their time working with the disposal unit, with the disposal unit, and started providing information to other team members, which is pretty brilliant, and that caught the attention of Hoshina, which is what I liked about it. Which is what I like about it, quite honestly, because it doesn't necessarily always mean you gotta the main character doesn't have to always be punchy, 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 punchy. You know what I'm saying? If you could get a character that can do intel, a main character that can provide intel, that helps everybody out, that's even better. But yeah, basically the plan worked and focused on using their knowledge as a disposal unit, and made it easy for other team members to get their shots off. Of course, Ayoju catches poor Kafka, and this is where we get to see Kikoru shine in Chapter 6 to close out the whole thing. As, they were ready to let him lose, but they were ready to pull up the shield and get him out. But no, Kikoru saves him and makes it very clear that she won't allow dropouts or casualties or anything. So it shows that she really, that despite, and this is a good characteristic here of Kikoru, you know what I'm saying? Because you could have easily, from the direction that she was going and her design and everything, she could have been like Asuka, absolute arrogance and everything. But, you know what I'm saying? Like really, uh, witchy, trying to really witchy and she's arrogant, but not Asuka arrogant. She still acknowledges Kafka as a teammate, as he says, no casualties or dropouts allowed. Saying she really sees everybody's life as being important. That's a very interesting distinction that's being put on display right here. She's not well, she does mock him, of course. She does mock him, but it still doesn't change the fact that this is a very good characterization of Kikoru. You know what I'm saying? That despite Kafka having 0% power and being a little older and slower and everything and so on, she's teasing him, but she's not looking down on him in a manner of speaking. You know what I'm saying? She just thinks it's silly that a guy with 0% is out here doing all this, and for her it just means that she's got another life to save and such. But we'll see it soon enough. But she shows off her skills and basically giving all the others. Of course, our three other main characters that we were introduced, our secondary characters, are watching her just doing all kinds of things, and they're so focused, hyper focused on trying to do things that they're not paying attention. They're too focused on Kikoru. Not a very good thing, but she's like a prodigy. She's basically like a prodigy, trying to do all kinds of crazy things. But Hoshina was willing to drop Kafka, but he refused to give up, which Mina is still being silent about and everything. But we have a goofy moment. Once again, Kaiju number 8 knows when to be goofy, and I like that. It doesn't take, it takes its moment. It knows when to take moments seriously and know when to take moments comically. It doesn't let one bleed over the other, and I like that balance. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the exam, so they're dealing with actual kaiju, so they are taking it seriously. But given the context of the situation with Kafka, we get silly moments like this, and it's pretty good. It's a good balance. And once again, Hoshina down on the floor, laughing at them. Oh man, but Yeah, overall, we get to see what Kikuro's doing, and this is a very well done panel here on the lower left here. How well it animates her movements. It really animates her movements. She slides down and fires. She stands up and shoots over the hood, then jumps over the roof, and while sliding, just fires another bullet, showing off completely, of course. But it really does convey the depth of her skills, and that's what's great about the panel because even though we're seeing her doing different things, we're just getting cuts. We're not getting the full motion of what she's capable of doing, and this panel actually shows the motion of how she's doing it, and she's doing it very very fast. She's like really quick on the reflexes and everything. The suit's just making it even better, allowing her to go even better, and that's a great way to show through panels. Being disadvantaged of not having animation to show the movement and motions. This really conveys very good, just exactly how powerful she can truly be and what her potential is at, and it gives us the viewer, the readers, a good chance, a good shot at to see what she can truly do for when we see when she gets better and better later on in the series. So overall. Overall, it's pretty good. It ends with, of course, Kikuro ending the exam. Kafka and everybody barely did anything, but everyone still passes thanks to her. And of course, we get this kaiju here. We get this kaiju, very nicely designed kaiju, with all the bulges and aesthetics, very symmetrical. Honestly, this is a very well symmetrical created. Drawing here. If you look very carefully, it doesn't come off uncanny, but it comes off very scary too. Ooh, excuse me, sorry about that. But yeah, it's very very well symmetrical, so it doesn't come off all wonky and wobbly, and really really looks menacing and frightening, especially with having no eyes, so you don't have any expression or of the face and everything, just only the mouth, and that's it. So it's a very very nice design. So yeah, the exam, just like that. Always great when exam arcs move by very very fast and get us back to and get us onto the next plot and everything. Because sometimes you get the unless of course it's like Naruto where you have the whole entire focus is the exam and the training and everything. Something like this has to go by fast, and sometimes you get these stories that don't do that. They take a little too long, or they want to do one-on-one matchups, and it's like, can we get on? Can we move along here? Can we move along here, please? Let's move this along. Let's move this along. And Kaiju number 8 moved it along, and that's really good. Got us to the next part of the whole thing. Matsumoto-san is really doing a great job with the pacing of Kaiju number 8, and not straggling us too long with a lot of these scenes and scenarios and such. So yeah, there we go. Another good set of chapters. Another good set of chapters. All right. So, comment, like, subscribe, follow. You know you want to. And head on over to Amazon.com and grab yourself a copy of The Impossible Man, a strange fantasy novel written by me. You'll find a link to the book down below in the description, along with links to other merch, such as stickers, music, t-shirts, pins, and so on. Please enjoy the merch. Thank you for your patronage. And if you're interested, you can head on over. You can join me over on my live multi-stream on Twitch and Kick every Monday through Thursday, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I look forward to hanging out with you live. So until the next set of chapters, thank you for joining me, and I wish you all a good night, a buenas noches, and oyasumi nasai.